What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Real ZB. So, first of all, thank you so much for 3,000 subbies. I am so excited and so grateful that 3,000 of you decided to press subscribe on this channel. I'm beyond words, okay? But in today's video, we are continuing with the Almost 30 series. So this week, I'm going to share with you the lessons that I learned from my teen years. So let's get right into it. So to kick things off in my teens, one thing that I need to realize and take from my youth is the fact that I actually love people. I am not afraid of people in any way. So when I was a teenager, I had a very easy time making friends with new people. I had an easy time making conversations, meeting new people, and just putting myself out there. I was fearless, okay? I would walk up to anybody and just start a conversation, you know? I could make friends with anyone. I could interact and engage with anyone. And as I got older, I sort of became a more introverted kind of person. And I can't exactly pinpoint when that started happening, but that is something that I am actively trying to work on, because a lot of my job depends on like networking with people, talking with people. So I am actively trying to be as outgoing as possible, and I am trying to put myself out there like I did in my teen years. Another thing that I want to take from my teen years is to be present in the moment and to have fun. So this particular thing I learned basically in my matric year. I was living in the present and I was having as much fun as I could, because I knew that that was the last year that I had with my matric group. That was the last year that I had with my friendship groups and all of that stuff. So I feel like I was more present and in the moment, and I was up to having fun in my matric year. So that's also something that's very important, even going into my 30s, is as much as I am now grown and serious about life, but I shouldn't forget to have fun. I shouldn't forget to do things that make me laugh, where I'm required to just be silly and just let go, let loose, and have fun. Now, the most important thing that I think I picked up from my teen years is the fact that I found God. Now, basically, when I was 14, I made the conscious decision to get baptized and receive the gospel of Jesus Christ. But before then, I always had, the yearning or the desire to learn more about God and have a relationship with Christ. And I just never knew how to go about it, or how to actually, or where to actually start. So in my teen years, I had the opportunity to actually accept the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I'm so glad that I did at that time, because it just sparked something that I was missing within me. I didn't really grow up. Before that, I didn't really grow up like seriously going to church. What I could remember about going to church is I'd go to church and then sort of go to Sunday school. I would sleep most of the time because I'd get bored. And then I'd visit a lot of churches. That's what I remember most of the time. But when I found a church that resonated with me, that I loved, where I was actually learning and I felt like I was growing, that's when I made the decision to get baptized and to be serious about it. So yeah, I feel like my teen years was the beginning of my relationship with God, and it has only grown and evolved from then. Obviously, in between, there were times when I would drop the ball. There were times when I would doubt. There were times when I would feel like this thing isn't working for me, but it is those times when God has showed up for me, has comforted me, has directed me, and here I am all those years later. So I'm so glad that I was able to, find Christ at an early age. And find Christ at that age when I was ready, when I was yearning, when I was looking for answers. So I could talk all day. But going into my 30s, I feel like I have found what I'm looking for, and just to keep working at my relationship with God, to keep learning as much as I can, receiving revelations, and to double down. I think that's what I want to do in my 30s. I want to double down on my relationship with Christ. Another thing that my teen years taught me is the fact that family is where home is. Family is where my heart is. So a lot of people don't actually know this about me, but I think it was around about end of grade 7 or end of grade 8. Yeah, end of grade 8. Around the end of grade 8, the childhood home that I had sort of grown up in, we had to sell it. So during that period in my life, I did exercise a lot of escapism, where my mind just would pretend that that wasn't happening at the time. Obviously, it was a devastating thing, and obviously it was kind of a sad thing that happened, but more than losing that house, I was able to find home within my immediate family, my mom, my brother, my cousins, my my aunts, the relationship, especially between my mom and I, was so much stronger and so much closer during that time, and we've sort of just been besties since that time in our lives. We've sort of drawn closer. We've been able to talk about whatever. We've been able to just talk and draw closer to each other and have like that very close and intimate relationship between ourselves. And I feel like we were happiest when we had absolutely nothing than we were when we had sort of like everything that we could imagine. So yeah, that's where I think I sort of learned what was important in life, and material things aren't the be all and end all of happiness. Material things are nice to have. It's nice to have a nice house. It's nice to have a nice car. It's nice to be able to acquire all the wealth and all the riches and all the things that you want to, that make you, happy and joyous inside and giddy inside. But the most important thing is that relationship with your eternal family. So, again, learning that at an early age, I won't lie, at that stage in my life, I didn't see it that way. But now when I reflect and look back, I can actually see that that was necessary to happen in my life for a host and for numerous reasons. But it was a necessary thing that had to happen in order for me to become the person that I am, and in order for me to have the relationship that I do with my family. So, yeah. So, you know what? Now it's a memory that I look back on fondly, even though at the time, for my little heart, it was a little much. But now I look back fondly at that memory, and I'm just grateful that I was able to evolve from that and make lemonade out of lemons. An important skill that I've learned from my teen years is to be adaptable. Now, in my matric year, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but in my matric year, I was actually also my little brother's legal guardian. So my mom had to work in another city at the time, so she sort of had to leave us in East London, and she didn't want to disrupt my studies and my little brother's studies, so she kind of left my little brother to me. And if you didn't know, my little brother is 6 years younger than I am. So at the time I was 18, he was 11, 12. So he was still in primary school. So for the duration of that year, I was actually my little brother's legal guardian. So that's why I like to say my little brother's actually my firstborn son, because I was his mom for a year. So that experience taught me to be adaptable. You know, certain situations happen in your life, and sometimes they require you to step up. Sometimes they are unfortunate. Sometimes, you know, you find yourself having to be a parent to a sibling. And I know that is a difficult thing because, you know, a lot of the time you want to be a kid yourself as well. You want to discover yourself, and you don't want to have to look after another human being. But you know what? Sometimes life just throws stuff at you and you just have to adapt to it. And actually, my mom did give me the option, to be fair, whether I wanted to be my little brother's guardian. Actually, a revelation came to me in the form of a hymn. It's where the hymn say, I can't remember what the hymn number is, but I will write it on the screen here. But basically, the verse says, I will be my brother's keeper. I will learn the healer's art. So for me, it was one of the Sundays where we sang that hymn at church. And you know, I'd sang that hymn so many times, but this specific time, it just touched me. I became a little bit teary, and I just had a feeling just enveloped me at the time, like this strong feeling to say, you have to do this. You have to be your brother's keeper. So I made the decision to be my little brother's guardian at the time. So sometimes life doesn't give you that choice. Sometimes life just hands you the thing and you just have to be adaptable to it. And I feel like that's a very important skill that I learned at an early age, because life has thrown some rocks at me, child. Let me tell you, life has thrown many rocks my way since then, but I'm able to maneuver myself out of situations because I learned at a very early age to be adaptable. And I'm grateful that I had the strength to be able to do that. Oh, another important thing that I learned in my youth is that the temple, I need to be a person who visits the temple often. So the first time that I was introduced to the temple and the first time that I actually went to the temple was in my teen years. And I always remember that specific trip so fondly in my heart. Just the spirit that I felt for the first time at the temple, and just how everything went. I can't remember every single thing about the trip, but I can remember how it made me feel, and as well as how I always yearn to go back to the temple. So yeah, that is something that I want to do in my 30s. Like, as much as I want to travel the world, see different cultures, and just be well traveled, but I also need to prioritize being able to visit the temple as much as I can. So right now I can say that I go to the temple once every year, but I would like to build on that. I would like to go a lot more than that, and hopefully going into my 30s, that will be the case. And lastly, what I learned from teenager me is to spoil myself. So when I was a teenager, there were certain snacks that I loved. I loved Cadbury chocolate, the biscuit one. I loved Jambos. I loved the blue Doritos, and just a host of other things, custard donuts. I loved. And when I was younger, I wouldn't ngisha myself, you know. Every now and then, I would sort of keep a portion of my lunch money so that I'll be able to buy myself my favorite snacks. You know, I always had, for as long as I can remember, I would always have my favorite snacks on hand, and I would always make sure to every now and then buy myself, you know, some clothes. If I was gonna go somewhere, I would buy myself an outfit for the occasion, like from head to toe. So that's something that I want to bring back into my 30s. You know, I work hard. You know, this brain works hard on a daily basis. You know, so I deserve to be spoiled. I deserve to spoil myself. I have a hard time spoiling myself, so I'm trying to force myself to buy myself something every single month. And up until now, over the past 2 months, I've been able to do that. So yeah, I'm just trying to force myself to do something nice for me every month, and so far so good. But hopefully, as I enter my 30s and as the days go by, it'll become second nature because I deserve it. I deserve it. I'm very good at spoiling other people, but when it comes to myself, I just feel weird about it. But I'm working on it. Last week was part 1 of this series, and I shared with you the lessons that I learned from my childhood. So if you would like to see those, go ahead and click right here, and I'll see you next week for another video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.